we do make mistakes, but do we learn from that as well? And what did you learn from those mistakes?
I learned that as much as I said I was a very financially independent female, this generation strong, I realized that I had a lot to learn financially. I would say don't worry about the competition because what you provide in the market, you are unique, you're an individual. So I would say don't attach your identity to your business. Why should I do this? There's so many beauty brands, there's so many fashion brands, there's so many restaurants, but there's no one who's like you as well. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, जो नहीं दिखता ना वो बेच रहा है.
Namaste everybody, this is Joydeep back again. मैं आज अपने पहले पॉडकास्ट रिकॉर्डिंग के लिए आया हूँ एंड मैं बहुत एक्साइटेड हूँ क्योंकि आज मैंने जिनको इनवाइट किया है उनके साथ हमने लास्ट 2-3 साल में काफ़ी काम किया है और बहुत देखा है और बड़ी चुलबुली है, बड़ी हस्ती है, बहुत स्माइली है एंड बहुत मज़ा आता है उनके साथ बात करके. और जब मैंने ये सोचा था कि वी गोना स्टार्ट दिस न्यू पॉडकास्ट फॉर इंडियन प्रोफेशनल्स इन लंडन, we have to have Indian professionals who have migrated into this country and who have made a name for themselves. And now you're everywhere. So please welcome Kush. Thank you so much for joining me.
Joydeep, I am so excited that you thought of me, and I'm always excited because any of your endeavors, any events, anything that you choose, you know, it's done dil se, and then it takes off and gets into everyone's heart.
आरजे हो तो मुझे बोलने ही नहीं दोगे, है ना? मैं बोलने वाला था पॉडकास्ट का नाम दिल से, उसके पहले आपने ही बोल दिया.
आप माइक रखो मेरे सामने. What do you expect?
I should have thought about that before inviting you. But this is the whole fun of it. We are all going to talk Dil Se. That's the name of our podcast, Kush. And why we have kept is, we want to talk open. We want to talk about, you know, what you have been doing in the industry over the years and how you as a first generation migrant is what I'm assuming you have come here and what's been your journey. So खुश के बारे में मैंने तो बहुत पढ़ा है, बहुत देखा है और खुश को तो हम एवरीडे रेडियो पे सुनते हैं, लेकिन who is खुश Saikia? Who are you as an individual? I don't think many of us knows. You're a hidden charm.
Yes, I would say that I'm very multi-passionate.
Okay.
So a lot of the things that I do professionally or creatively, they don't necessarily integrate.
Okay.
So ye hota hai ki, you know, I have this side and I have that side. Most people in the community knows me as a radio presenter, and I'm extremely proud of that. I've been doing that for 5 years, so it's been a journey. But professionally, I have been a owner of beauty salons and clinics and aesthetics, so 17 years now.
Really?
17 years.
So tell us your beginnings. Like, how did you end up coming to the UK, and tell us from the start?
I would say that I always say this: I'm Indian by birth.
Yeah.
By heart, I'm American.
Okay.
By spirit, I'm British.
Okay.
Because I was born in India, Amchi, Mumbai.
Okay.
And then my family moved to Florida. So I think my family just said, what's the hottest place in America we can find?
Sure.
And that's where I grew up. And then I moved to London now.
When?
14 years now.
That must have been a change.
It's been
From
a great
Florida
journey.
to the beautiful British weather.
But you know, at the end of the day, dil hai Hindustani.
Of course.
So.
And इसलिए हमने आज आपको चुना है क्योंकि हम चाहते भी हैं वैसे लोग who have still got that, you know, the zeal and the, you know, the passion for the country, the passion for being in Hindustani. And so you came here 12 years ago and then you started your, you know, journey.
So I was always in the beauty industry.
Okay.
So I had owned salons in America. Then family moved here. I moved here. Then during COVID, I went into educating. So I teach accredited beauty courses. So I have been in that industry for a very long time. And radio presenting actually came during COVID when salons and shops were closed.
Of course.
And
so did you get headhunted? Did you apply for it? How
I applied for it because I heard they were looking for someone, and I was like, I know I can do this. And before, you know, it was shock hota hai. Like, I think anybody growing up in India has this Bollywood ka keeda in them. And, you know, your songs, your music, your colors, they keep you who you are. So I was extremely, extremely excited when they took me on board. And I thought maybe it's a gig during COVID and that's about it. But I'm part of the furniture now, I think.
So let's talk about your beauty industry as a career, which is what you said you are more sort of, you know, technically known for.
Yeah.
How has that journey been? And what have you sort of learned by being an entrepreneur yourself? Because one of the things that we are talking to a lot of the young Indian professionals in London are, a lot of them are aspiring entrepreneurs. कोई tech में करना चाहते हैं, कोई beauty में करना चाहते हैं, कोई food में है, different domains. So within your industry, if somebody who's listening and watching this today, I know a few friends who are in beauty therapists, but they're just not there. Because A, they're probably very nervous, they're probably very scared, they probably don't want to take that risk or the impetus. What would your suggestion be? What to do?
So when I also got into beauty industry, I think both my careers have been by accident.
Okay.
They've chosen me. It's not the other way around necessarily. When I first got into beauty in that industry, because at that time America was going through the crisis, the financial crisis. So everybody with a college degree, they were either going into sort of hospitality staff and things like that. And I was like, my dad has worked so hard.
Sure.
Because even for our parents, it's a journey. He was a high executive in India.
Okay.
Then when you go to America, again, there's a big change.
Sure.
And then you go into your typical ownership of gas stations and things like that. So I saw him as a man who wears a suit and with a briefcase.
Yeah.
And then he switched his hat around and he said, no, this is what we need to do to survive in that country.
Interesting. Okay.
So
and
then,
what made you then get into the beauty side?
So beauty side happened because with a college degree in political science and things like that, there was no jobs at that time.
see.
And then again, it was one of those things that I have to do something.
Yeah.
And then I knew I learned eyebrow threading when I opened this little clinic. It was the first threading in big. It was 1,000 square feet salon I opened in my just stepping into my 20s, and I said, "नहीं, ये तो करेंगे." Sometimes your heart just says, "ये तो हम करके रहेंगे," and that's what it
दिल की
is.
सुने आपने?
दिल की सुनी मैंने दिल से, and so I went into that and I said, "Okay, if this can work," and then I had that for a good 15 years.
Wow.
15 years, and just a couple of years ago I handed it over.
Okay.
So, and entrepreneurship also came because I learned this word entrepreneurship
Yeah.
through a TV show, a very
Right.
famous TV show. And I was like, ये क्या होता है?
Right.
ये कर सकते हैं क्या?
Right.
And then I just got into it, started employing people. It grew. When I moved to London, I continued growing that as well.
Nice.
So
And what was your peak?
I think my peak is I'm always in my peak. That's what I try to do. But the peak in that industry at that time would have been a couple of years ago when I had 4 locations in Florida and 3 in UK. Yeah, which is nobody knows about this.
And that's the whole idea of having
Yeah.
you today. कि आपने इतना कुछ किया है, but आपके बारे में लोगों को पता नहीं है. Is that because you keep it deliberately very private, or
Yeah,
intention?
I do. I think I keep it as this is my work, this is my
You don't want to tell people
profession.
how rich you are.
And I think both sides of my world just never collided in that way, because work was very a completely different demographic, completely different geographic, and that very white gray doesn't match the chatak patak Bollywood thing. So that's, I think, why it just
We all
hasn't
have
collided.
left side and right side.
Yeah, yin and yang, the balance.
But obviously not everything would have been hunky-dory, rosy all the time.
Yes.
You must have had your low points. You must
Yes.
have had your tough times.
Yes.
You said COVID was one of the factors as well
Yeah.
during then. But I'm sure before that also, when you had started growing your business, what was your lows and highs of that?
Cash flow was always a low, because
business.
in every business you keep putting in from your pocket, and you think it's a dream that you're growing and things like that, and very quickly you have to realize, what, this is just a part of your life. It's just business. It's not your entire life.
Sure.
Taking care of staffs from different ages. Like, I didn't know how to handle someone who's on maternity leave, who's on sick leave, and all that happening all at the same time, and just added costs coming from all different sides. You've got, whether it's USA or UK, you've got your council, you've got your government, this, that. So there was a lot of hidden things. So I feel like I did my journey backwards. Like, I feel like, okay, if I had worked somewhere, I had joined a big company, got some experience, but I just kind of went in, blinded, and maybe, but then again, that's taught me a lot. So make your mistakes.
And that was a good point that you just made. We do make mistakes, but do we learn from that as well? And what did you learn from those mistakes?
I learned that as much as I said I was a very financially independent female, this generation strong, I realized that I had a lot to learn financially. So financial education, that those skills were missing because I was just, again, pumping everything from my pocket.
So is that something you are going to inspire or you're going to tell others?
Absolutely.
So as an ambitious, aspiring woman entrepreneur today who's watching and listening to you, who probably wants to open her own next beauty salon, what would be your, few mantras to her that, hey, honey, this is what you need to do?
I would say if you're investing, keep investing in yourself, your skill, because that is something you take. It doesn't matter whether you're in India, America, China, wherever. That skills will continue with you. So keep investing in your own skills. Don't invest in the biggest hype machine, the big brands and this and that, because you never know. One day you might shut that and you're still stuck as a guarantor in equipments and things like that. And also keep it very clear that this is a business. This is not you, your life. It's not your identity. If it's not doing well at certain times, don't let that take over your identity.
Very interesting, because obviously sometimes we get into that syndrome where we don't want to let go because we have invested so much in it. But what I'm sensing from you is you do think that it's ideal, if it's not working, let go of it. And don't get too attached to it and don't compromise on life.
Yes.
Life is more important than everything else. And is that what you are going to, आप inspire वही कर रहे हैं लोगों को कि अगर आप नए business हैं, अगर आप new ambitious entrepreneur बनना चाहते हैं, is that where you think that have the entry and exit point correct? Because you've gone through it, you've spent 15 years around it. Would you go back and do that again, or would you say nope? I should have done it before?
I would do it very differently. I would not. I would not attach my identity to a specific location. Like that shop in that street is not my entire identity. It's not my reputation. But I think like 15, 17 years ago, we used to think that sabse badi dukaan, sabse bada logo, sabse bada, and that is me. But that is not necessarily the world that we live in today. So I would say don't attach your identity to your business. I would also say that what I call MSIs have multiple sources of income. That is huge, and don't worry about competition either, because as much as I'm saying I would say don't worry about the competition, because what you provide in the market, you are unique, you're an individual, and that will work because every industry is very saturated. So sometimes we might think, why should I do this? There's so many beauty brands, there's so many fashion brands, there's so many restaurants, but there's no one who's like you as well. So if your gut says this, take the risk, but then also listen to the head.
Very, very valuable golden words. And also, I think as a success, as a highs, let's talk about your highs as well. What would you say were your highs in your whole journey of being a businesswoman? Any sort of, examples you can share? Any celebrity happening?
In UK I had a lot that because of NDAs I can't discuss, but being in London, in Chelsea, in central London, I fortunately did get to meet and treat a lot of people who have given me so much valuable knowledge about being in the country, and also realizing that just because they're not flashy and out there, doesn't mean they're not doing important work. Because right now in the world of social media, there's so much कि जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, जो नहीं दिखता ना वो बेच रहा है.
So your highs, have you served any of these Bollywood celebrities in your highs?
Yes, in fact, yes. There are two.
Oh, very good.
There's two.
And what has been your satisfaction from those? That what would you say that, maybe 20 years down the line or 30 years down the line, what would Kush Saikia remember from those highs? Any experience that you can share that, you've probably transformed someone's, skin regime. You probably transformed someone's...
I know this is going to sound absolutely cliche, but can I just say that I think for me, the highest of the high would be that my people were always happy.
Okay.
My people were who worked with me, my team. They were always happy. I would like to have said that if you called up anybody from 17 years ago, from 3 years ago, they would have said, you know what, she looked after us. I think that would honestly be I can sleep well at night knowing everybody was paid on time.
So why did you sell your business?
Because the world was changing.
Okay.
I think the digital platforms, the online platforms are huge. So I got into teaching beauty.
Okay.
So I did a lot of in-person courses. I still do workshops,
Okay.
but I'm also just moved online as well because the world is changing. And after doing this for 17 something years, I just needed freedom. I did not want the overheads. And more than anything, dad's getting older as well. And I feel my focus now is, I want to be not tied to a specific location, contracts, and just
As we say, जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा.
जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा.
आई थिंक आपकी बिजनेस जर्नी तो हमने सुनी है. अब हम आपके नेक्स्ट जर्नी के बारे में बात करेंगे जिसको हम ज़्यादा पहचानते हैं, विच इज़ खुश साइकिया ऑन एयर,
Yes.
ऑन रेडियो,
Yes.
एंड यू सेड इट वाज एन एक्सीडेंटल मोमेंट. How has that been for you? I mean, we see you have transformed from one radio presenter who used to be, when I first know you, as a different woman and a different personality, and now you're everywhere and everywhere. So how has that journey been for you?
बहुत लोगों का हाथ है, आपका भी हाथ है, बहुत लोगों का हाथ है इसमें. And genuinely, again, it's a cliched answer, or maybe that's just
Yes.
somebody who I am. The credit goes to everybody.
Sure.
When I came in, there was somebody who taught me what a fader was. Didn't know what that was, I didn't know any of the technical skills. I just knew I think I could do
talk.
it. I can talk clearly. But so everybody taught me something. I was very, very lucky that I had some of the stalwarts of the industry who were there, who kind of took me under their
Like
wings.
mentor.
My mentors, exactly. I had a CEO who backs me up, and somebody who sat in that chair and said, "You know what? Yeah, I think she can do it." And then even till now, I would say I'm a student of broadcasting. I've only just got over imposter syndrome.
And that was exactly going to be my question, that how have you faced that and how have you circumvented that? कि I think हम सबके लाइफ में आता है ये
Everyone.
कि हम देखते अच्छा ये क्या कर रहा है, ये क्या कर रही है, ये क्या हो रहा है, इधर क्या हो रहा है. In Instagram world, it is like an everyday morning sort of a, I don't know how to term it. Maybe anxiety is not the right word. You can always say ki, oh, I want to be like that, or I want to become like that. Have you faced that as well? Have you seen other presenters in your industry, maybe at your workplace as well, who you think, oh, I need to be like that, I need to be like that? And how have you sort of grown yourself either into it or out of it?
I have this very weird syndrome. I don't know there's a name for it, but I am hugely secure. But at the same time, I can be, which I think you may understand, it can also be underselling myself. So I feel that if someone else who's doing the same exact thing as me is doing better or doing more things, it genuinely doesn't affect me. And I think this comes from my parents, because I've always believed, and this was a book from Shiv Khera that I read when I was 12, which says that for you to reach the top, others do not need to be destroyed. So that is something that's really stuck with
Yes.
me in my mindset. You do not reach the top by destroying others. So that is something I've carried in everything. However, because I was so new and there were so many people who've been doing it for years and years and years, I kind of pulled back and said, okay, सीखो or सीखते रहो. But then after a certain point, I realized, claim your spot as well.
Sure.
If you have been given an opportunity, it's a gift, utilize it.
And have you had that sort of a feeling that, oh, ये तो नहीं है, ये यहाँ क्या कर रही है? And how are you growing so quick and so fast? Have you faced that sort of a spirit or some sort of environment like that at workplace or outside workplace?
I am not sure. At least I'm lucky that I am surrounded by people who've never openly, discussed that or mentioned it. Maybe there is. Maybe there is.
don't care.
I mean, I don't think 5 years is a quick. Like they say, there's no such thing as overnight success. So maybe I am more visible right now because I'm choosing to. But it's still 5 years, which is a decent amount. And there's so much I learn every day. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how this works.
And in today's age of digital media, everything is social media, everything is Instagram, everything is all about being online. How do you manage? I struggle to be on it. I mean, I sometimes feel that either we are overselling ourselves or underselling ourselves. And how do you find that balance for you, for your profession, for your job, that you should have that fine balance and not over or do under? What would your your recommendation is, and a lot of women, not just about business, a lot of women professionals, sort of young professionals, a lot of young independent, audiences who probably are looking at similar issues. That should they be online? Should they not be online in different aspects? What could they learn from you?
Do what feels right for you at that time. Cross that bridge, whatever that bridge is, when you get there.
Yeah.
Right now, it doesn't feel right to post, don't post. But then again, be aware of what your industry and what your work is. Like for me, there was 1 year that I wasn't on Instagram, and it didn't really bother me at all. But then I also realized, "Jo dikhta hai, wo bikhta hai." This is my industry, and I can't say I'm in media and not be on social media,
What
right?
about overselling? ज़्यादा दिखोगे वो भी problem है.
But isn't that up to the viewer to see, to choose,
But do
decide?
you not think that the viewer might get bored of you if you are overselling also yourself? Do you face that oh, I'm not getting as many views I should be getting? And that's a problem in today's world.
Yeah.
It's all about the views. It's all about those likes. It's all about those, the TRPs, as we say in the industry also. How do you manage that? That if today you post something, you get let's say 1,000 views, but tomorrow if you post something, you only get 100 views. Does it affect you?
It doesn't affect me, but like you have to accept that views and likes are the currency of today's world. The more, the better, and people no longer. You don't need a website like back in the day. You used to spend like £5,000 on a professional website or something. You don't need a website if you're trying to buy or do anything. The thing is, for example, if you choose to be limited, and you've not put out your latest work or your best work, which is whether your work or you as a brand, don't complain then when the opportunities don't come your way.
Makes
Because
sense.
people are like, oh, well, there's not much going on there, But that also means that if you are going to be coming up, also be authentic. Because things like... If you're like we're living two lives, your real life and then your Instagram life, your social media life, right? So you have some kind of alignment in them, because I could be a certain way and then my Instagram is completely different. That lie is going to be caught.
And that, I think, for me has been the very key aspect, because I am what I am, which I think, whether be it on the virtual world or whether be it in real world, and you have seen me. But not everybody is like that. So again, that is something I feel is a very difficult question and a bridge to answer, where people want to be seen as a certain aspect on virtual social media, but in person they may be something different. Have you faced that? Have you overcome that, or do you think you're
I mean,
genuine
personally,
authentic?
for my pages, I've got my personal page, which you have then as a work page. Again, it's a little bit different from each other, but when I have seen other people's pages, and I'm like, wow, and then the charm is just lost when you meet them in person. You're like, and then
So what do you do about it, and how do you think that people should not do that again? Because this is my fundamental problem with social media, and I don't know how to overcome it myself, and I don't know how the world can be a much more genuine place where genuine connections, genuine work can come to those who are trying to be genuine everywhere. But now, like you said, jo dikhta hai wo bikhta hai. You have to pump in, you have to be seen as the most charming, the most beautiful, the most well done, sought after public profile. And that's what sells. But not everybody can be like that. And that's that syndrome which we were talking about. So what would your recommendation be to a simple human being who's trying to be authentic, who's trying to be competitive, who's also trying to make his or her way forward, but is struggling because of all of these external factors?
But when you were saying earlier that this is a problem you've had, is that a problem where you've seen people and that doesn't match, or you personally?
Both.
Both.
I think I have seen that like you said, we have individuals who are doing very well in social media, but when you meet them in person, they're not the same. But that does not affect a newbie who's also trying to be a successful, whether be it a personality in business or whether be it a personality in spheres of life. But they have to be seen on social media. They have to be seen on Instagram doing stuff to be recognized. And I feel that is wrong. But in your profession, in your industry, in your experience, you have also seen the same. How would you advise that person not to be the same and what are your thoughts?
I mean, first of all, we have to appreciate the fact that social media is free for us right now. Instagram is free for us right now. That is such a huge benefit. So we have to take advantage of platforms that are online, because that is such a huge opportunity and it's worldwide. So if I post something in London, someone in Japan, someone in Dubai can see it, and you can get something out of it. So we have to appreciate that, but then everything good also comes with a little bit of baggage,
Yeah, so
right?
I think in your profession it works great, but also someone who's just a common person, a common girl, a common human being, and especially in girls, they get sometimes that syndrome. Have you had an experience of working with people or seeing women like that who are so anxious, who are so nervous, who are going through that whole experience? And what would your recommendation be to a young girl from your own experience of being Khush Saikia for you are?
First of all, to any female, I would say just be safe.
Ji.
Be absolutely safe. Of course, depending on different times and phases of a female's life, they will represent themselves differently.
Ji.
Like an 18-year-old is different from a 28-year-old
Ji.
to a 38-year-old, 48-year-old. So just be safe. That's what I would say. One biggest thing. But then the other thing I would say is that we do have to be a bit strategic in a way, in the sense like pick why you have that page and what you want to do with it and who you want to be
Would you also
seen.
be saying be careful? Because I do have women who do say that they get trolls, they get all sorts of comments, they get sometimes worried about it, they get affected by that. So have you faced it?
I have. I mean, every female will tell you they will get it's whether you're walking down the street, that cat calling, that doesn't happen much anymore, but that you will get that on social media. Block. You've got all the powers,
the answer.
right? So block. If you have a private page, that's fine, but if you have a public page and you're using that as a public profile, there is one biggest thing I think I would say, which is the advice I've taken myself, is that there is a human psychologist and human behavioralist called Dr. DeMartini, who I listen to a lot. And he says there's something called borrowed values. Okay. Borrowed value basically means you see somebody doing something and you're like, I should also be doing that. That is, I think, what needs to stop. Because if somebody's doing a bunch of reels of them, get ready with me, does not mean you have to do that. If someone's doing a bunch of reels of just fitness,
Dancing.
Don't do that. Or dancing, or whatever it is, does not mean that's what you need to do. So this is so difficult in real life and in social media life, being yourself. So don't get borrowed values from other people. And
great words, Khush. I know we can keep talking. We both are notorious to talk on camera and on if you've placed a mic in front of us, but we are also on time. I think a couple of points. A is, in your profession right now, what are your next steps? 2026 is here. It's still just February. What does this year hold for you?
So I feel like I have conquered USA, I've conquered the UK. I want to now conquer the world, and which is what I mean by saying that I've just launched.
Are you overconfident that you've conquered UK? Or do you think
In my own way.
Okay.
I'm happy. I'm happy, because I never thought I'd be on air. I never thought, for me, the biggest thing when I'm on air is my dad in India listens to me every single day.
Wonderful.
So if I've had any takings from the UK, I would say I'm happy with this.
What is 2026 like for you? What's new for you?
2026 is a lot about personal alignment, doing things that align with what makes me happy, things that don't upset my nervous system. I don't want to see people, I don't want to do events, I don't want to be at places, I don't want to do anything that is going to upset my nervous system. So that is one of the biggest things. And again, the financial literacy I was telling you, I'm learning a lot more about it and making conscious efforts and choices.
Are you sharing that with people?
No, not exactly as much as I should.
Because for young Indian professionals, this is what this audience is. We are trying to...
with the young professional, and again, I'm going to come back a little bit to female. We really need to know what we're doing with our money. We get the education, we get the career, and then we're still like, okay, I don't know where the money's going.
Absolutely. And I think that is something which I look forward from people like you to teach and to educate and also to inspire. I know people who have come into this country over the last few years. They're young Indian women. They're young, 20 years old, 30 years old. they don't have the financial literacy of buying, saving, investing, etc., etc. And is that something you think would be ideal for you to maybe mentor them? Do you want to hold those kind of sessions?
I would absolutely love to, because I have made enough mistakes and I have seen enough, and but then again, that's something that any advice anybody gives, it's up to the person to take it as a gift and unwrap that. But it doesn't matter what generation it is. I do feel, and I hate to say this, but I do feel that sometimes South Asian women, we don't take charge of our money, and that is absolutely huge. I mean, you can be a fashionista, be a frugal fashionista, but save for your future, save for the rainy days, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Wow. I think on radio, I've not heard you talk so long without a break. So I'm sure this would be a very fascinating conversation for you. And we can keep talking. We both are notorious for it. But it has been a very interesting journey and very interesting conversation with you over the years. And thank you so much again for joining me, Kush, today. Any last words for the Indian professionals who are going to be watching you? What to expect and what should Kush Saikia be known in their sort of minds?
One thing I would say, all the Indian professionals, I would say that as an Indian, I am so proud of them. I think whether it's the millennials or the Gen Zs, the millennials are more about loyalty, whereas the Gen Zs are about boundaries. And I think together we're creating a beautiful world. And I'm extremely proud of the people that I've met, the stories I hear, and how hard they work. And it just makes me proud to be a fellow Indian.
Nice.
And if anyone's watching, honestly, Kush is a friend. Do come say hello wherever it is, whether it's in real life, in events, or in the other life, which is social media.
Or on air.
Or on air. Do come say hello.
Between 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
Yes, Monday to Friday, 10 to 1.
जिसमें बहुत breaks होते हैं, but आज कोई break नहीं है.
This was absolutely great, but I'm always a friend.
Good. Thank you so much, Kush, and wish you all the best. And look forward to see you again and again.
No, the feeling is absolutely mutual. Whatever you do, upar upar badho. Thank you.
So much.